There's something wrong with the logic of your video. I want to commend you first in your statement that, of course, there is something very troubling about taking the behavior of a Muslim and claiming that bad behavior on the part of Muslims is because they are Muslims, whereas when someone does terror in the United States and they happen to be a Christian, no one says they're a Christian terrorist. There's a problem with your logic, and that is most of the Muslim terrorists routinely go out of their way to state that they are engaging in violence because they are Muslims. They go out of their way to state that. Christians who happen to be terrorists and Jews who happen to be terrorists frequently do not state that it is their religion that's motivating them. In fact, American terrorists in the United States frequently say it's the call to freedom that is motivating them. It's something very secular. So you need to understand that when you have an entire group of people out there claiming that they engage in violence, and they can give you surahs in the Quran that seemingly, with the word seemingly underlined, that seemingly give them permission to do so, even command them to do so, that is very troubling. Secondly, when large numbers of people who are apparently not terrorists will then come out and say that they understand where these people are coming from and refuse to condemn them, that's also very troubling. So in the United States, if somebody says, I need to kill someone because of freedom, and they start quoting the Constitution of the United States, they are resoundingly and universally condemned, and the irrationality that a peaceful philosophy like the American Constitution could possibly justify murder is stated by everyone emphatically and repeatedly. That doesn't happen in the Middle East. When someone flies two airliners into two skyscrapers, killing people in New York, completely innocent people, what we see is, number one, a lack of people condemning those actions, and number two, and most importantly, we see a large number of people saying, yes, that's wrong, but look at what America is doing. There's this sense of apologizing but not really apologizing, or saying that this is a bad action, but, and then sort of looking on the other side. When you have people quoting their scriptures as the reason that they do violence, and when other people surrounding them are unwilling to condemn them without qualification, that is what leads to this perception that Islam is associated with violence. And remember, you have a long-term history of Muslims conquering large numbers of other people and Islamizing them and Arabizing them, taking away their cultures, replacing their cultures, however long it took and however voluntary these processes were. We're talking about people who supposedly are from a religion of peace, conquering and creating colonial empires. Now, there's something very disingenuous about Palestinians going on and on about how wonderful their religion is and stating that we need a Muslim world and that would solve everything, while simultaneously condemning Israel as a supposed colonial outpost. Well, why would Israel be bad as a colonial outpost when what these people are describing as their goal is a worldwide colonial empire of Islam? This kind of hypocrisy is frequently never understood by Muslims. They don't see it for a second. But you have to understand, to some people in the Western world, the moment that a statement like that comes out of people's mouths, Americans, Westerners just begin to laugh. There is something hypocritical about simultaneously talking about how good it would be if we lived in an entirely Muslim world, while out of the other side of your mouth you're screaming and hollering about the fact that supposedly other people are trying to impose their ways on you. You need to make up your mind. Either religion shouldn't be used to justify murder, and therefore you need to resoundingly condemn without condition terrorists. And you need to show exactly by reading the Quran how they are wrong. Right? You need to claim that anyone imposing their values on you is wrong, and then simultaneously at the same time you need to give up this worldview vision of having a Muslim world. You cannot simultaneously say that the world should be Muslim and then get mad because somebody keeps coming to your country saying we're going to impose democracy on you because the world should be democratic. You can't have it both ways. You've either got to say, keep your democracy to yourself and we'll keep our Islam to ourselves. You can't simultaneously say, here's our Islam, you need to accept this because it's the one true truth. Oh, and by the way, don't impose anything on us. It doesn't work that way. If you want people to stop imposing things on you, you need to stop talking about the fact that it would be good if things were imposed on them. There are people in Great Britain, for instance, who insist, Muslims who insist on having a Sharia court, completely imposing a Sharia law system on people who don't want it, putting into another country a law system that is alien to them, while simultaneously being angry that British people are trying to impose things on them. Either we live in a world which is a patchwork quilt of different people and different belief systems, all who leave each other alone. Either we live in countries where everyone can leave and join whatever religion they want, which means that we have to get rid of all of these apostate laws where we kill people for being apostates. Either we live in a world like that, or we live in a world where everybody fights it out and whoever wins gets to impose their will on the other. Obviously, the answer is the first system. Isn't that where we all want to live? But see, Muslims have a problem where they simultaneously talk about how Islam is the only truth, but they don't want anybody else telling them that democracy is the only truth. You can't condemn other people for doing the same thing that you do. So, in relationship to the video that I'm attempting to answer, the reason that people assume that Muslim violence is caused by Islam is because Muslims say that it is. If you want this lie that Islam causes violence, and again, I don't know that it is a lie, you're going to have to prove that to me, because there does seem to be a correlation between Islam and violence, and there doesn't seem to be a correlation between any other faith and violence, at least not currently that I can see. You're going to have to show me that. Now, if you don't like that correlation being made, the people that you need to condemn for making that statement, the statement that Islam calls people to violence, the people that you need to condemn for making that statement are other Muslims, because they're the ones saying it. When Westerners say that Islam leads to violence, they're just parroting other Muslims. Why are you condemning us for parroting things, for saying things that other Muslims are saying? Why is it okay for Muslims to say it, but the moment that we say it, it's supposedly some kind of bigotry? Does that mean that all Muslims who claim that jihad, which is the fighting against non-believers, and the imposing of Islam all over the world, are all of those people anti-Muslim? Are all of those people engaging in internalized bigotry against Islam? From what you're saying, apparently, yes. But then why don't you just say that? Why are you criticizing us? We're not the ones propagating this myth, if it is a myth. If Islam leading to violence is a myth, why not go after the people who are propagating the myth? And that lends me to my last question before I sign off. Why are you not attacking the Muslims that are perpetuating this myth? Are you afraid that they will somehow attack you, hurt you? or is it that